a month. If they work 30 quarters or less, it's $506 a month. Why is this important? Okay. It's important because they need to understand they earned it. They worked and they paid their taxes and they earned it. If they only worked 30 quarters, they would have to pay $278 a month. If they only worked 25 quarters, they would have to pay $506 a month. Now we got people that are already bitching about having to pay $165 for Part B. Imagine if they only worked 25 quarters and they had to pay $506, right? So you got to understand, right from the beginning of your presentation, you are overcoming any possible objection that they could levy against you. All right. So I really drive this home. All right. Because you worked, paid your taxes, you earned, all right, zero premium. And I say zero premium because we're not allowed to say free, right? Big email just went out. We're not allowed to say free, but we are allowed to say zero premium. Okay. So then I say, okay, so Part A is your hospital benefits. All right. And I go through everything. I go, so did you know that there was a deductible for Part A? Of course not. Nobody knows. All right. Even people that have been on Medicare for 10, 20 years, they don't know. All right. That there's a Part A deductible. So you need to explain that. Then you need to explain the daily copay, 61 through 90, 91 through 150. All right. And once again, you want to keep saying on original Medicare, on original Medicare. Okay. Also, what else is included in Part A? Skilled nursing facilities. So that's where you go into, you know, days 1 through 20, there's no cost to them. All right. After a qualifying 3-day hospital stay. If you're not familiar with the 3 midnight rule, get familiar with it. All right. Because if you don't qualify for the 3 midnight rule, you cannot go into a skilled nursing facility and have the first 20 days covered in full by Medicare. All right. So write that down, 3 midnight rule, if you're not familiar with it. Okay. And then Medicare picks up the balance, right? So you want to go right across. You have a $1,600 deductible. That's for a benefit period. Explain what that means. If you go into the hospital on January 1st, all right, you know, you get discharged on the 5th, you go back in February 2nd, you don't have to pay the $1,600 again, right? But if you go back in March 15th, you got to pay the $1,600. Benefit period is 60 days. There's 365 days in a year, 1 day between each benefit period. You could conceivably pay $1,600 6 times in a year on original Medicare, right? Okay. So Medicare picks up the balance. All right. And I circle that. Medicare picks up the balance. I underline the 1,600. I circle the balance. Skilled nursing, right? Days 1 through 20 after the 3 midnight rule, Medicare pays all. Circle it. Okay. Then you go through, you know, the 200 daily copay days 21 through 100. Medicare picks up the balance. You want to circle that. Okay. Home health care is covered. You want to explain the difference between home health care after a stay in the hospital. It's temporary. It's after a stay in the hospital. It's doctor prescribed. It's not, I've just gotten older and need help with ADLs. All right. And then hospice is covered by Part A. Okay. So then you get down to 2023 Medicare Part B. Right? We know that the monthly premium is $164.90 unless IRMA gets involved. Explain IRMA to them. All right. You don't have to go into this like ad nauseum, but just say, you know,
Bruce,
if you and your, yeah.
For these guys, you might want to explain what IRMA is.
Oh, okay. All right. So if an individual or a wife or a couple, all right. So it's the, I can never remember exactly what it means. What is it? It's the income, whatever, monthly adjustment. So what happens is if you as an individual make less than like $90,000 or as a couple, you make less than $190,000, all right, then your monthly premium is $164.90. Okay. However, all right, if you make more than 190 as a couple,
Hey,
or yeah, somebody have a question? All right.
no, Alpha
So,
just wasn't on mute. We're
okay.
good.
All right. So, all right. Google it or go to Medicare.gov. They've actually gotten their act together quite nicely on that website now. Medicare.gov used to be atrocious. Now I think it's wonderful. But just type in IRMA, it'll bring it up. Okay. But if you make so much money, all right, then you have to pay more than the 164.90. Now, this is important, okay? Because if you're sitting there and you're talking to somebody and you tell them their monthly premium is going to be $165 a month, all right? And they took a huge distribution out of their IRA, all right, last year, they're going to get hit with this. Now, they say it's not a penalty, but it is. It's a penalty, all right? So I've had people call me up and they're like, hey, I just got this bill, from Medicare telling me that my Part B premium is going to be like $250 a month. What's up? And then you say, okay, somewhere on that letter, you're going to see the letters IRMAA, IRMA, okay? And then you need to be able to explain to them what that is, okay? So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on it other than it's just if you make more money than like 95,000 as an individual and 190 as a couple, all right, their Medicare Part B is going to be higher. And it can be as much as like $400 a month. All right. I had a dude, he called me up mad in a wet hen a couple years ago because his financial advisor told him to take this huge disbursement, all right, out of his portfolio. And I forget, the guy wanted to build a house or something. But anyways, this guy got hit with an IRMA penalty of like $400 a month. And he's like, how long is this going to last? And I said, it's a rolling 2 years, so you just got to wait until you roll out of this thing. All right. So make sure you go to Medicare.gov. All right. Type in IRMA. It'll pull up the schedule for you because there's a Part B penalty and there's a Part D penalty. So if you're talking to someone about a zero premium plan and then they're like, hey, I don't understand, I'm getting charged a monthly premium and you told me I wouldn't, the very first thing that you want to talk about is you may have been hit with an IRMA adjustment. You can call it a penalty. I call stuff what it is. I call it a penalty. You can say adjustment if you're more politically correct. All right. But explain to them, this is the first thing that we want to take a look at. Why is someone being charged a premium on a zero premium plan? IRMA is the first place you want to look. Okay. So you go through, all right, Medicare Part B, you pay the annual deductible of $226. All right. And then you pay 20% of Medicare approved medical costs. Medicare pays 80%. Okay. Now, here's something that is very important. 20% of Medicare approved medical costs. Where does that come from? 2 words, medically necessary. Write it down if you're not familiar with it. All right. Medicare is not going to pay anything that is not medically necessary. So what does that mean? Vanity procedures are not going to be medically necessary. Okay. So if you want to, my earlobes are too long, my nose is too big, whatever, I want to get this adjusted. All right. Medicare is not going to pay for that. Okay. And I hear a lot of agents say, oh, if you get a supplement, whatever Medicare doesn't pay, the supplement will pick up. Man, that is so wrong. Okay. It's whatever Medicare approves and pays on, the supplement will pay on. If you're running around, okay, someone said the sheet's gone. All right. Troy doesn't have the sheet. So,
Give me 1
Paul, if you-
second.
all right. So anyways, be really careful what you say. Don't be running around saying, oh yeah, if you get a supplement, whatever Medicare doesn't pay, the supplement will pay. Okay. Well, I went and I had, if I'm a woman, I went and I had, breast augmentation or reduction or whatever. All right. And it didn't get paid. All right. You told me that whatever Medicare, didn't pay, the supplement would pay. So make sure that you say whatever Medicare approves and pays upon, the supplement will pay. Okay. So circle the 80%. Why is this important? Okay. Because what you're going to do next is you say, okay, so that's original Medicare. Do you have any questions? Okay. Or what questions do you have? All right. Because, if you say, how's this go? Do you have any questions? That's a close-ended probe. All right. That can be answered with yes or no. What questions do you have? All right. They actually have to think about it and say, like, I don't have any. You did a great job explaining it. Or they're going to start asking you some questions. And then you answer those questions and you say, okay, so that's original Medicare. All right. Now, why is it important for you to understand this? Because I'm going to talk to you about two options. You never want to just be on original Medicare. Why? I just explained it to you. $1,600 deductible up to 6 times a year. All right. Co-pays for the skilled nursing facility. All right. 20%. If you have a heart attack, does anybody know what heart attacks are running these days? Just out of curiosity. All right, 400,000 or 500,000. Okay, so, all right, no clue, right? Thank you for being honest. Okay, so these are some things that you want to be paying attention to. All right, when you're talking to somebody. So, hey, you know what? I mean, God forbid, you have, a heart attack, or a stroke. Those are running about 400,000 to 500,000 right now. So forget about the $1,600 deductible. All right. And the $226 annual deductible. I mean, let's just look at 20% of $500,000. Right. So this is why when somebody says, I say, hey, has anybody talked to you about Medicare? Yeah, I've got Medicare. I'm good to go. All right. Oh, okay. So what are you using to pick up the expenses that are not covered by original Medicare? Well, whatever's not picked up by Medicare, Medicaid will pick up. That's a totally different conversation, right? You do understand Medicaid is welfare. So there's a lot of moving pieces in all of this. And you need to explain this to people because they think, oh, I got Medicare, I'm good to go. Right? So after I'm done with all of this, because I've been circling balance, 80%, then I circle all of the stuff. I make one big circle around all of the other little circles. And then I say, now, I'm going to talk to you about two options to pick up these expenses that are not covered under original Medicare. And I just turn the page over. Okay, that's why I didn't write this all, mock it all up on the back, because I want you to have the sheet blank on the back so that you can do this. All right. So here's your two options. Draw a line down the middle of the page. All right, on the back. All right. And on the left-hand side, write Medicare or original Medicare plus supplement plus Part D. And you need to explain that to them, okay? So you can get a supplement, and the supplement, all right, will pay against anything that Medicare approves but didn't pick up. And there's pros and cons of supplements, all right? And I just write pro, okay? And then I say, there's a monthly premium, okay? Why is that a pro? Because I know what I'm going to pay every month in advance. Okay. And I write down, for your age and your geography, that's probably going to be, 135, 150 bucks a month to get started. Okay. Then I, just about halfway down the page, I write con. All right. So what's the con? And I write monthly premium. Okay, so pro is monthly premium because I know what I'm gonna pay each month, all right? It's also a con because guess what? Sure as the sun comes up, you're gonna pay that every single month. Does that make sense? It's a pro and a con. I know some people say, I just want to make a monthly premium and I just want to know, that's it, all right? And I say, okay, that's a pro. It's a pro because you know what you're going to pay every month, all right? But it's also a con because guess what? You're going to pay that every month, whether you use it or not. Oh, and by the way, another con, that monthly premium is going to continue to increase. I just had this conversation with a lady the other day, all right? I don't understand. Why do I keep getting all these rate increases? I said, well, there's the age increase, and then there's the annual increase. Sometimes they lump them together, all right? She's telling me that her supplement is going up 40 bucks a month every year. That's a lot, okay? And so it's a pro and it's a con, all right? Another pro is you can use a supplement anywhere in the Medicare system. So as long as you're in the United States, okay, you can use your supplement. You can go to any doctor that accepts Medicare. Okay, so that's a pro. But then a con is no vision, dental, and hearing. All right. And that is a big concern. And I make a joke. And here's what I say. There's no provision for dental, vision, and hearing because those three things only improve as we get older, right? And then, a little chuckle or sometimes they're like, no, and it's like, okay, I'm just making a joke. Once again, I got to have fun, because Medicare, it's kind of like nailing Jello to a tree. All right. I got to have some fun with it. So you want to explain to them there's no provision for dental, vision, and hearing. Now, I was just at a rollout for one of the carriers, and they're trying to make this big pitch that if you get one of their supplements, okay, that there's this add-on for DVH, and it's expensive, okay? But if you want a supplement and you want dental, vision, and hearing, you can add this for an additional cost. So now the supplement's 150. The Part D plans anywhere from $7 to $50. Then DVH is like another, 35 to 60 bucks. So it starts becoming very expensive on a monthly basis. Okay. Now, and feel free to write down any other pros and cons. Okay. But the big ones are, the monthly premium, use it anywhere in the United States. All right. And some obviously have, provisions for if you're outside of the United States. And then, the cons are you're going to pay it every month, sure as the sun comes up. All right. And there's no provision for dental, vision, and hearing. And that rate, that's your entry rate. That's just going to continue to increase every year, annual increase and an age increase. Okay. So you think it's a good deal starting off at 150. All right. But 5, 6, 7 years from now, you could be paying 250.
So Bruce,
Okay?
let me throw another
Yeah.
con. Let me throw another con in there. Another pro and a con. If you're getting a T65 and that person's interested because their income would allow them to have those guaranteed issue inside their initial enrollment period.
Yes.
But a con is if you get upset because your rate increases, and some companies have higher rate increases than other, but if you get upset because of that, the con there is you can't easily switch to another med sup without going through full underwriting. Where on
Exactly.
MAPD, you can switch plans without any like hits. So 2 more pros and cons for you.
And that's a good point. Okay. Because I've literally written people on their deathbed, literally 90 days left to live, turn 65, right? Now, insurance companies are not real happy when you do that, okay, because you just bought them a whole bunch of claims, all right? But if you walk into a house, because here's always the big debate, right? Well, what should I have? Supplement versus Medicare Advantage, all right? It's like when somebody asks, when should I take, my social security? Whenever somebody asks, when should I take my social security? I always say, I don't know. When are you going to die? All right. And then that starts a whole different conversation. So when someone says, should I have a supplement or should I have a Medicare Advantage plan? All right. Number one, how's your health? Just tell me about, what have the past few years look like? What do you anticipate the next couple of years? People always say, oh, well, but we don't know. I don't know the future. Okay. And I say, that's very interesting. I have multiple degrees. One of them happens to be in psychology. I said, do you know what the greatest human fear is? Fear of the unknown. All right. Do you know what the second greatest fear is? Fear of making a wrong decision. Okay. I said, so when you ask me, what should you get, supplement versus Medicare Advantage? Tell me a little bit about yourself, which you should be doing anyways, right? Because when you start talking about, a little bit about yourself, a little bit about the client, all right, and you start empathizing or sympathizing, and they're not the same thing. Sympathy is, I've never been through what you're going through, but I have compassion. Empathy is, I have gone through it, all right? So you want to keep those straight. But when you need to find out what's their health look like. If you walk into someone's house, all right, and there you see a hospital bed in the living room and they're on oxygen, you should be talking to them about a supplement. Okay. And if they're in their open enrollment, they can't be denied. So Paul's got a great point. Okay. And if they don't like the rate increase down the road, okay, they do have to go through full underwriting. And my understanding these days is that a lot of these companies have made it very difficult to get through their underwriting. All right. So that's a concern. Okay. Now, on the right side of the page,
Hey, Bruce,
this is,
hold on.
yeah,
Question. I don't know if you said hold questions to the end, but go back. That statement you just made. You walk in, someone's in a hospital bed, you're going to generally push them more towards a supplement because there's going to be a lot of extenuating costs.
absolutely. That's just my personal feeling. Once again, as I prefaced in the very beginning, I'm telling you what I do. Okay. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. Okay. But if I walk into someone's house and I see a medical bed and I see oxygen and I start having a conversation with them, all right, tell me a little bit about yourself. What's going on? All right. I'll ask people, how many ists are you seeing? All right. So when someone goes is, I go, yeah, how many is? Cardiologist, pulmonologist, how many specialists are you seeing? Okay. If someone starts rattling off how they're seeing, they've got insulin diabetes, they've got cancer, all right, they just had a heart attack. When they start rattling this stuff off, Troy, my brain immediately goes to supplement. Okay. And here's why. Because if they've got that much stuff going on, all right, if you put them on a MAPD, chances are they're going to get co-paid to death. All right. Whatever the MOOP is, they actually probably have a pretty good chance of hitting that. All right. So that's just how I think. I think, you know what? Let's put you on a supplement. Let's get you through, like the next year or two, see how things are going, knowing that every year during AEP, I can do what?
Reevaluate and rewrite the plan to another carrier that meets their needs.
Okay, so I can always pivot. All right. If you walk in there and you say, hey, you know what? I'm going to make whatever, $400 on a supplement, but if I do an MAPD, I'm going to make $800, I'm going to put them on an MAPD, and then they get hit, with $4,000 or $5,000 in co-payments. All right. That's a problem. You did that. You cost them that money. All right. So I look at it and I say, and I explain to them, okay, here's how a supplement works. All right. Now we're going to talk about Medicare Advantage. Now, I never tell them you need a supplement. I explain how supplements work. I explain how Medicare Advantage works. And then I say to them, what do you think would be the best fit for you? Or another way to say it is, which one of these options do you feel most comfortable with? Right? Because we're not allowed to say, this is what you should do. We are not
Correct.
allowed to do that.
If you guys remember, I sent out an email or a text. I think it was an email because it was long. There was a long list of things as a Medicare representative that you can say and can't say. And that's what Bruce is referring to right this second. You cannot say this is the best plan for you. You cannot, there's terminology you've got to watch, okay? Your job is to listen and guide, but at the end of the day, they have to make the decision their self. You know, if they're asking you, do you feel this is my best option? You can rebuttal that without denying them an answer, being indirect. Like, well, Mrs. Jones, you know, it certainly meets up with these needs. While I can't tell you that it's the best, it looks like it will cover what we've discussed today. Things along those lines. Bruce, Moon had a question, so I'm gonna let Moon chime in real quick. Moon, if you want to ask that.
Yeah, I just wanted to be sure because I do way more MAPDs, and I really don't, well, have not yet got a lot of clients that qualify or want the supplement. So I want to be able to, meet both sides. If just hypothetically during a T65 situation during the year, if they, well, let's not even use T65 because they would automatically be guaranteed the issue. Just say
Right.
they had to go through a change and they had a SEP or something like that, and now they got denied or something like for a supplement. During AEP, could they get a guaranteed issue even though they got denied before?
You mean a guaranteed issue for a med sup?
Yeah.
Negative.
So if they ever get denied, that's it?
That's it.
Yeah, it's the guaranteed issue only comes in their initial enrollment. Other than that, it's full underwriting. I mean, they can pick up a supplement anytime they want. There's no season like there is in MA, and I'll let Bruce later on in this get into like SEPs and things like that because he has some nice little tricks to move people almost anytime. But when it comes to supplement, there's only one era that gives them guaranteed issues. So after this call, I will send to the whole team Bruce's 2 forms, the ones he's suggesting for you guys to use that explain things. But Craig Ritter, who owns Ritter Insurance Marketing, very, very intelligent guy, sits on the CMS board. For those of you that don't understand the acronym yet, CMS is Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, but he's on the board there. Craig's a personal friend, very, very intelligent. Okay. He wrote a Medicare supplement guide for agents that I use to this day. I've actually shared that with a few agents, especially Dave Wagner was the most recent one I've sent that to. But I'll include that supplement selling guide in there because he really lists out the different selling periods. But the only guaranteed period is when they're first aging in.
Well, okay. And here's the thing about Medicare. Okay. Once again, clear as mud. All right. You do understand. All right. If someone's in their ICEP, initial coverage election period, all right, they can't be denied. Right.
Correct.
Okay. So I turned 65, but I have creditable coverage and I'm going to continue to work for another 2 years. And at the end of those 2 years, all right, I am going to lose my creditable coverage. And now I have a second what?
SEP.
I have a separate open enrollment.
Yeah.
Okay. It's no longer an ICEP. All right. Because that passed. All right. And of course, Medicare is like alphabet soup. So here's the thing. But if someone is 65, all right, they can't be denied. All right. And if somebody has creditable coverage and that creditable coverage ends, all right, they've got another because they would have deferred their Part B. All right. And so they've got another open enrollment. and they can't be denied. Okay. However, all right, if they are outside of those two scenarios and they apply for a supplement and they are denied, that's it. They're done. Okay. They are MAPD for life. And that's why we have T65 lists, because this is what I say. People are like, oh my gosh, I'm getting all these phone calls. I'm getting all this mail. Not so much mail anymore. You know, before insurance companies used to send out, you know, enrollment kits. And someone would say, I'm getting all this mail. And I'd say, how many inches are on your kitchen table? And they'd say, oh, I don't know, maybe about 6. I go, okay, you got about another 8 inches to go. All right. And once again, another joke. You know, you're the belle of the ball right now. You can't be denied. That's why everybody's after you. Once they're outside of that ICEP, all right, they are subjected to full medical underwriting. And if they get denied, that's it. They're done.
Is
And
that
that's
even
still-
in that special? I'm sorry, Moon.
No, I think we're about to ask the same question.
Is that in
Go
that
ahead.
special, is that in that special election period? If I don't quit my job right away at 65?
So that's not an SEP, all right? That's a Part B deferment. It's a totally different thing, all right? But years ago, the way that this used to work was when someone was turning 65, CMS would send out their Medicaid, or I'm sorry, their Medicare card. But what they found out is that a lot of people were deferring their Part B because full retirement age, all right, or FRA, was no longer 65. It was 65 in 6 months, 65 in 8 months, then it became 66. All right. So what was happening is people were signing on the back of the card, deferring Part B and sending them back. Now, if you are not collecting Social Security at the time you turn 65, they do not send your Medicare card. And so you actually have to manually go in and activate it through My Social Security or making a phone call. All right. So it's not so much a case anymore. If someone's continuing to work, hey, I turned 65, but my full retirement age is 67. I'm going to keep working for another 2 years. Nothing happens. However, when I hit 65 and I am at my FRA and I quit working and my creditable coverage ended, I now get a second open enrollment where I cannot be denied. Does that make sense?
Yep. Thanks, Bruce.
Okay. All right. Just making sure. All right. Because it's a lot.
One more question out there, Bruce. David
Yeah,
Wagner.
David.
Bruce, as far as a med sub, say you have, you're on regular Medicare Parts A and B, and you switch to a med sub, you're guaranteed to be able to take that right away. They can't be denied, even if they're in bad health.
You cannot be denied if you are in your ICEP, which is your initial coverage election period. It's 3 months before your 65th birthday month, your 65th birthday month, and 3 months after.
Only at 65.
Okay. So as long as you're in that 7-month window, you can literally be on your deathbed and you cannot be denied a supplement.
At 65 though, 3 months before and 3 months after.
Your 65th birthday month. So yeah, and it includes that birthday month.
So they couldn't be on it, be 67 and switch to a sub.
Well, if you're 67 and you switch to a sup, you either have to have just lost creditable coverage, all right, or you have to be able to get through full medical underwriting.
That's my question. That's what I didn't understand. If you're in bad health, why wouldn't you switch to a sub?
You may not be
If you don't have-
educated.
Pardon me?
You may not be educated properly on how Medicare works.
I'm saying though, as far as the being approved without underwriting is only at age 65.
Or loss
Or-
of credit, or
or
loss
at
of credible coverage.
At the loss of creditable coverage. So at 65, you're in your ICEP, you get an open enrollment, all right? But my full retirement age is 67, so I'm gonna keep working for 2 years. I'm gonna keep my creditable group coverage. At the age of 67, I'm going to retire, lose my creditable coverage. I get a second open enrollment for a supplement with no health questions.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, there's one other time, all right, as long as we're digging this hole, let's go a little deeper into the weeds, all right? There's one other time that you can get a supplement without answering any health questions, and that's if you get a Medicare Advantage plan. Federal law says that you are allowed to have that Medicare Advantage for a 1-year test drive. And if you don't like it, you can then get a supplement without answering any health questions. Okay. Now, here's what I do not recommend. I do not recommend that you walk into that home where someone is in poor health, all right, and say, I'm going to put them on a Medicare supplement or a Medicare Advantage plan so I can make a higher commission, okay, knowing that when these medical bills start piling up and they complain, all right, that I can always shift them over to a supplement without answering any questions. I say that, all right, knowing that this group would probably never do that. All right, once again, this is a different group. Okay, you all are doing this for the right reason. You're operating at the highest level of moral and ethical standards. You're all of good character. But I'm educating you on this because you're going to run into people who had some shady, shifty agent, all right, who put them on a Medicare Advantage plan because they seduced them with a low or zero premium, knowing they would be paid a higher commission, all right? And they didn't care that the person was going to get co-paid to death, all right? So when you run into somebody and they say, well, somebody put me on this plan 6 months ago and it's costing me thousands of dollars to be on this plan, you should immediately think, hey, 6 months, that's still in the 12-month federally mandated window. I can go ahead and put them onto a supplement, even though they're outside of their ICEP, without them having to answer any health questions. Does that make sense to everybody?
And that's because during that ICEP period, they got a plan that they feel was wrong for them.
Exactly.
In 12 months.
Exactly. Okay. Here's the thing. I didn't say this at the very beginning, and I should have said this. All right. If you've never heard me say this before, I have no respect for 98% of our industry and the people in it. Okay. And this is why. In 36 years, I've seen a lot of really shady stuff, especially in the last 16 years, all right, 17 years with Medicare Advantage plans. Because there's a lot of agents out there, all right, who don't do any evaluation. They just say, hey, I got this zero premium plan, and it's going to cover all of your medical needs, blah, blah, blah. All right. And they're going to lie out their butt. They're going to misrepresent all these different terms that, you know, we come across when we do AHIP. All right. And now you're there. Okay. And now you have an opportunity to do the right thing and fix this. Okay. So you need to know all these little things. Hey, I've been on this plan for 9 months. All right. And it's crushing me financially. Okay. Well, let's get you out from underneath this, because 9 months is still inside that 12-month federally mandated trial period. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm pinging you guys because, you know, I don't know who's paying attention.
And
All right.
team, I'm going to be honest. If you don't understand this, please ask questions right now, because this
Yeah.
is very valuable. That ICEP period, okay, comes into play. And again, like Bruce said, if they are brand new, okay, and they're inside that period, and somebody put them on to an MAPD and they're getting co-paid to death, you have the ability, because obviously now they're shopping around. They're filling out a lead card because they're begging somebody to help. They're trying to figure out why this agent told them this plan was going to be great for them, and they're facing thousands of dollars in medical bills. And now they've come to you, and you've noticed they just recently got on that plan. They're not, hey, I've been on Medicare Advantage for 2 years. I've jumped carrier to carrier. This is, I am brand new to Medicare. Okay, this only comes into play then. You have the chance to become the beacon in the light or beacon in the dark to help fix the scenario. I think
Yes.
Kim's got a question.
And hold on, I want to say this before we move too far away. Okay, once again, Moon made some really great points yesterday, okay, about establishing relationships and rapport. Okay, if you run into a situation, all right, where somebody says, well, I don't understand, you know, my friend's getting, you know, co-paid to death. I was told never get a Medicare Advantage plan, and here's why. This is your opportunity to establish rapport, all right? And rapport will eventually evolve into relationship, all right, if you do the right thing, okay? Now, we're not doing this for referrals, but once again, money's right up there with oxygen. So here's the deal, all right? If you fix someone's situation, all right, there is a very good possibility that they will give you referrals. It's not why you fix it because it's the right thing to do. Okay. But one of the results could be, you know, hey, Bruce met with my friend or my mother, all right, and fixed this situation. He drove an hour, he was there for 2 hours, he explained everything. Okay, now we understand what happened, why it happened, and what the solution was. Okay, that's going to generate referrals. All right, who has a question?
Okay, so once they have to go through fully underwritten. All I know is life, and I'm new to Medicare here. So when you see somebody lying on a deathbed with, you know, oxygen and life situation, you're looking at knockouts. How possible is it for them to go through the underwriting without getting knocked out?
Because if they're in their ICEP, there's no health questions.
Right, but if they're outside of that,
Well, then they're getting an MAPD
okay.
and there's no health questions.
So even if they're on the MAPD and they're getting hit with those co-pays and are being co-paid to death and they want to switch into a supplement, they have to go through fully underwritten. So how can they be knocked out of that? And what are the type of circumstances that would disqualify somebody in that?
So here's the deal. If they've been on a Medicare Advantage plan for more than a year and they can't get through medical underwriting, they're stuck on an MAPD for the rest of their life.
Okay, so they have no choice at that point. Okay.
Negative. None whatsoever, which is why it's so, hold on, Fred, just for a second. This is why it's so important for you to do the right thing. Now, can you be responsible for what every agent does? Absolutely not. Okay. But you got to remember something. As you come across these people, now you know. All right. Now you know. Okay. This is what the rules are. And I'll say this. All right. I probably should have said this at the very beginning. Please don't bombard me. All right. But I'm going to put my name and phone number in the chat. All right. If you have some questions, please feel free, you know, to text me or email me. You can always give it a shot to call me, but you got a 95% chance of getting my my voicemail. But Paul has explained to me that you all are like the best of the best. You're of a very high caliber. And so I will make myself available to you so that if you do have these questions, you can just reach out to me and I'll do the best that I possibly can to walk you through it. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay, I was gonna say,
so-
somebody better say something positive or I'm gonna delete my number. All right.
Bruce, I have to say that I had heard only one other person that has said, make sure, just don't put them in an MA. The MA is not always right. And I've heard that one other time. And you have broken that down really, really well to explain why just putting them in an MA is not the best. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Fred, what's up?
So just to be clear, if someone's on an MA, somebody goes on an MA, they have a year test drive of it. And if they decide that that MA is not right for them, they can switch back to original Medicare. And it can be any time during that year. It doesn't have to be during any special election period or AP or anything. They can just switch to any time.
Affirmative, and that's a rolling 365 days, okay? So if somebody has an effective date of September 1st, that means they have until August 31st of 2024, all right, to pull the ripcord out of the MAPD and go back to original Medicare and get a supplement without answering any questions.
Thank you.
All right. Here's
Andrew
another thing.
Surface.
All right, here, I'm gonna muddy the water just a little bit more, and then we're gonna move on to the right column because we've only talked about the left column. All right, and Andrew, I see your hand up, but I'm gonna throw one more scenario at you just to mess you up a little bit more, okay? If somebody is on a supplement, okay, let's say they've been on a supplement for 5 years, and then somebody convinced them to take a Medicare Advantage plan for a test drive, and they do that, and they're in that 365-day period and realize they made a mistake, they can go back to original Medicare and get a supplement without answering any health questions. Do you understand that? Anybody?
Say that
Yes,
again.
That's
Yes.
easy.
Okay.
That was good.
So-
Yes.
So if someone has been on a supplement and someone convinced them to try a Medicare Advantage plan, all right, let's just say, I'm just gonna go all in on this. Let's just say they're a completely sleazy agent. They knew they were on a supplement. They knew they should stay on a supplement, but they just wanted to make an MAPD commission. And so they switched them by seducing them with a 0 premium. You with me so far?
I'm following.
Because this
Yep.
happens all the time, okay? So they were on a supplement, they should stay on a supplement, but I want to make a commission, so I convinced them to get a Medicare Advantage plan with a 0 premium, okay? And then they realize this was a huge mistake, all right? And I need to get out of this thing and get back to, all right, original Medicare and a supplement. But someone's going to tell them, oh no, you screwed up. You can't go back. You can't go back. All right. But then you walk in and you say, yes, you can. All right. There's a federally mandated 365-day trial period. You're still within that trial period. All right. You can go back to original Medicare. All right. And get a supplement without answering any questions. Now, my understanding is these days, I think the only option is like a plan G. All right. So if they were on an F, all right, and they left an F and tried the Medicare Advantage, they can't go back to an F. They can only go back to a G, which is basically the same thing. It just doesn't pick up the Part B deductible. So hold on just a second, David. This is where, once again, all right, I didn't even any age, it doesn't matter, any age, all right, you're allowed a 1-year trial period. So if you're 80 and you tried a Medicare Advantage plan, all right, and you found out you got bamboozled, all right, or hoodwinked, okay, you can go back to original Medicare and a supplement, okay? So now, here's something I didn't talk about. I'll go through this real fast. If you're not familiar with a sales pyramid, here's what you need to understand. At the bottom of the sales pyramid, all right, are order takers. Someone just says, hey, my friend has this plan, I want this plan, and you just go ahead and enroll somebody. All right, that's an order taker. All right, they're about probably a third, all right, of most agents are just order takers. All right, the next level up is feature benefit, where you just say, well, here's a feature, here's how you benefit. All right, all right, and like the next 60% are in that area. Okay. The top 5% are value added. You're not a value added salesperson, you're a value added consultant. I'm telling you all this stuff today so that you can go out and be value added consultants. When someone is told repeatedly they can't do something and then you come in and you make it happen, what do you think happens from that point on?
They trust you.
Anybody?
They trust you.
Credibility.
And are they going to keep it to themselves? Are they going to hide this light under a bushel?
Yeah, referrals.
Okay, so what's going to happen? Everybody told me this couldn't happen, and then Moon came in and made it happen. And so now, what is my opinion of Moon?
It's wonderful.
She's the miracle worker, right? Right? I mean, I've had people ask me, they're like, well, how come no one else could do this, you know, but you did it? And I say, I'm just better than everybody else, and I'm not even cool about it. All right. So, you know, that's one of those things. All right. When you go out and you make something happen that no one else could make happen, where have you elevated yourself to? Value added consultant. You with me? We got enough order takers running around out there. All right. Everybody's running around. You know, I mean, I'm not picking on Paul with his search engine optimization and whatever kind of sorcery that is. All right. But here's the thing. When your boots on the ground, face to face, and you make something happen that they were told repeatedly could not happen. I was told I was just stuck with this for the rest of my life. And somehow you got me back onto a supplement, and I'm not being crushed, all right, by all of these, you know, medical copays. You have just put yourself into a whole new classification. You just left everybody else behind you. All right, David, I'm sorry. You've had your hand up for a while. What's up, bud?
After the 365 days, when can they go back to the medical advantage in the upcoming year then?
Well, you just said two totally different things. You said after the 365 days, can they go back to the Medicare Advantage? Do you mean the Medicare supplement?
Supplement, excuse me.
No, it's a 365-day window. That's it. You got 365 days to decide whether you like where you are or where you're not. Got it?
So after that, you're stuck with it.
Yeah, that's it. You're stuck with it. So, you know, you need to figure it out. Now, I've had this lady came up to me the other day, and I keep talking about the other day because I was interfacing with like 200 seniors. All right. And they just like gang flocked me at this event. So here's the thing. This lady came up to me and she said, well, you know, now my husband was diagnosed with something and he's getting hit with all of these co-pays. All right. And I said, oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. I said, what seems to be your concern? And she's like, well, you know, for like 5 years, we didn't have to pay anything. And now all of a sudden, you know, he has all of these expenses. And she goes, now we're thinking that maybe we should have gone with a supplement. 5 years ago? Okay. How much have you saved in premium in 5 years?
Right.
Okay. So that's where I just said, so I said, essentially what you're saying to me is you saved about $10,000 in premium over the last 5 years. And now you're getting hit with a few $100s of copays and you don't like that math. I said, would you have rather have paid the $10,000 in premium? Oh, well, I never looked at it like that. I said, well, I'm not sure. I'm like, what other way is there to look at it? Okay, because here's the thing, and I tell people this all the time. Health insurance is very emotional because it affects you while you're alive. Life insurance is not emotional because if you're all former life or current life agents, all right, how many times have you heard somebody say, what do I care? I'll be dead. Okay, you hear that all the time. Well, you should have life insurance, right? Well, what do I care? I'll be dead. Oh, okay. So you don't love your wife, you don't love your husband, you don't love your family, right? Okay. So health insurance, why does everybody get so deeply invested in health insurance? Because it affects them while they're alive. Okay? So when somebody says to me, well, you know, now we're thinking we made a mistake, I go, you do realize that when you take all the emotion out of health insurance, it just comes down to math. So do the math for them. So, okay, you've had a zero premium plan, and I just keep saying zero premium because we got a totally awesome one here. But so you've had a Medicare Advantage plan for 5 years. All right, you've saved roughly $10,000 in premium, and now you got hit with about $900 in copays. So what would you rather pay, 10,000 or 900? Well, I would rather pay the 900. Okay, so I'm not sure I understand why we're having this conversation. All right. So once again, that's me. You know, I'm a little harsh sometimes. If you were on any of my calls back in January, some people even said I'm mean, but I'm not. But sometimes I hit people just kind of hard with the facts. All right. So let's go on to the second side of the sheet of paper. You've turned it over. You've done the pros and cons of Medicare Advantage, and you've priced it out. Okay. About 150 for a supplement. Okay. And, you know, then you got to throw the Part D in there, and you've explained that that's always going to increase. Okay. So now what I say to people is, so here's another option. Okay. Instead of having to pay out that 150 plus a month, that's always going to continue to increase. All right. Back around 1996, all right, during the Clinton administration, when both sides of the aisle were still working together, and this is exactly how I say it, all right, because everybody's just tired of all this nana hoo-hoo crap that's going on in Washington these days. All right, I say both sides of the aisle, all right, work together, and there was bipartisan support. Why is that important? Because no one party endorses more than the other. All right. And so it's not going to go away. All right. Because I've had that question. Well, how do I know that this is going to continue? Well, there was a 4.3% increase in funding. All right. And if you multiply that against trillions of dollars, that's a lot of money. Oh, and by the way, the United States Postal Service, and you can research this, and I recommend that you do. The United States Postal Service ended their retiree benefits program and pushed all of their employees onto Medicare Advantage plans. All right. So if the United States Postal Service is putting their employees on Medicare Advantage plans, and there was a 4.3% increase in funding, to me, that sounds like no one's planning on getting rid of this anytime soon. All right. So this is where I write down Medicare Advantage, and I underline Medicare. Why? Because people ask me, is this still Medicare? Well, you answer me. All right. If the name of the program is Medicare Advantage, does it sound like it's part of Medicare? And I just shut up and I sit there and look at them like I'm doing right now. And I let them say, yes. Right? So Medicare Advantage, you're exchanging your A and B benefits for Part C. And I write Part C, and then after C, I write OMPLETE, complete. All right, complete. And I underline it. And underneath that, I say, by law, because these are highly regulated by CMS, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, all right, who watchdogs and oversees all things Medicare and Medicaid, they say that these plans have to be as good, if not better, than A, and I write A, and B, all right, and MAPDs also include your Part D prescription drug plan. So it's complete. It's your hospital benefits, it's your medical benefits, and it's your drug benefits, all in one plan. Okay. I said, and then there's another C, and I write C, okay, that is very important as to understanding why these plans operate the way that they do. And I write competition. So it says competition. And then I say, what happens when you introduce competition into anything? Prices go down, and I write prices with a downward arrow. And then I say benefits go up with an upward arrow. And I said, have you ever been sitting at an intersection and you see one gas station that's selling gas for $3.50 a gallon and another gas station is selling for $4 a gallon? Have you ever seen that? No, of course not. That would be insane. Who would go to the $4 gas station? Right? So competition is good. And oh, by the way, and I flip the page back over, all right, and I say, when we were talking about original Medicare, you do understand that this is a monopoly. There is no competition. You get what you get and you don't get upset, right? And then I flip it back over again and I say, so Medicare Advantage plans are privatized. I write that out, privatized. And I said, and that introduces competition. So now everyone is competing against themselves to have the best plans, and who benefits from that? You, the Medicare beneficiary. Okay, so that was a lot, but did you follow what I said?
Come on,
Yeah, I
team.
got it. I got it, man. Go back to that, go back to competition again. Price goes down. And what was the
Price
other one?
goes down, benefits go up.
Benefits go up. Okay.
Benefits go up. Who benefits from that? You, the Medicare beneficiary. Okay, so now available in your area are going to be a variety of plans, because they don't just go by state, they go by county. All right, so in your county, there are going to be several different plans. Some are going to have low premiums and some are going to have no premium. Okay, you with me? Some are going to have low premium, some are going to have no premium. Now, where am I immediately going to go from this point? Anybody that was paying attention, where am I going to go?
You're gonna ask them to look at both columns and see which one. Oh, sorry.
Nope. Okay. Some are going to have a low premium and some are going to have no premium.
Mm.
Just
go
like Part
A.
A.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to circle all the way back. So this has been a real long walk for a short drink of water. Okay, you with me? I've been doing this for a long time, man. This did not happen overnight. All right, this is 17 years of fine tuning this thing. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm just saying that in the home, I have 100% close rate. All right, so you let me in your house, you're buying, you just don't realize it yet. Okay, so here's the deal. All right, I go right back to Part A and I say, so remember at the very beginning of this conversation, I said that because you worked and you paid what? Taxes, right? You qualify for zero premium Medicare Part A. So once again, because you worked and you paid your taxes and you're paying your Medicare Part B premium, CMS, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, takes those taxes that you paid while you're working, that I'm paying while I'm working, and your Medicare Part B premium that you're paying every month, and they send that money to the private insurance company with which you enroll to fund the Medicare Advantage plan. What objection did I just overcome?
How's it a $0 premium?
It sounds too good to be true, right? How is this possible? I was always told if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. All right. So this is where I make another joke. I go, I totally understand. I said, my parents were 50 years older than I was. If they were alive today, they'd be 107. All right. They went through the Depression, World War II. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. No such thing as a free lunch, right? There's a sucker born every minute, P.T. Barnum. Okay. And I say, it's interesting that everybody knows that if it sounds too good, it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. I said, but let me ask you a question. Now, remember, we're talking to older people, all right? And I say, have you ever heard of a gentleman called Ralph Waldo Emerson? One of the greatest authors in American literature. Now, to anyone 65 and older is like, of course I've heard of Ralph Waldo Emerson, okay? I said, Ralph Waldo Emerson coined a phrase, and that phrase is, if you build a better mousetrap, they'll beat a path to your door. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember that. I say, so here's an example of a better mousetrap. And I hold up my smartphone. I go, remember when these used to be mounted on the wall and there was a cord? Okay. I said, but now, I said, we have the cumulative knowledge of the entire planet in the palm of our hand. This is a better mousetrap. Have you ever seen somebody beat a path to a phone store to get the latest iPhone, all right, or Android? Of course I do. I go, you know, it's interesting. I'm looking, you got a smartphone sitting on the table right now. You actually at one point in time beat a path to the door to get a better mousetrap. And they're like, okay, where are you going with this? And I say, so Medicare built a better mousetrap by privatizing the plans and introducing competition. All right. And in order for insurance companies to go along with that, they accept the monthly premium payment from CMS to administer the plans. So I can't sit here and tell you that this is a free plan. As a matter of fact, it's against the law for me to say that. Going back to Paul's email that he sent out. All right. I'm not allowed to sit here and tell you this is a free plan. All right. But I am allowed to tell you that it's a zero premium plan funded by CMS, and it does have co-pays. However, you are only subjected to those co-pays if something happens. So whereas a supplement is a pay in advance, betting something bad is going to happen plan, a Medicare Advantage plan is a pay as you go, betting that you're going to be healthy and nothing's going to happen plan. Oh, well, I like that. So I said, and then you can go into some of the benefits. All right. There's a zero monthly premium. There's a zero deductible. There's, all right. There's no deductible. It's immediate first dollar coverage. All right. All of your preventive is a $0 copay. That's required by law. It's called minimum essential coverage, MEC. All of that, your wellness exam, prostate exam, mammogram, OBGYN, and anything that comes up on the Medicare screening list, all right, are all $0 copay. All right. On a lot of plans, your primary care physician, $0 copay, lab, $0 copay. All right. So if nothing happens, there's a very good chance that this plan could cost you very little, if anything at all. Oh, and by the way, remember how original Medicare had no coverage for dental, vision, and hearing? And you can point to that left column because you wrote down dental, vision, and hearing. All right. These plans, because of the competition and everybody trying to be better than anybody else, all right, there's a dental allowance, there's a vision allowance, there's a hearing allowance, and you can go into explaining what that is. There might be an over-the-counter allowance. There might be a healthy foods benefit. You know, and at that point, you can do some feature benefit stuff. All right. And then when you're done with all of this, oh, and by the way, if you don't like the plan you're in, every year from October 15th to December 7th, you can shop around and you can switch other plans. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't be doing you a good service as a responsible agent if we didn't get together every year during AEP to review your plan and make sure that it's still the best fit for you. Oh, and by the way, I'm not allowed to say this is the best plan. That's illegal. Okay. But, you know, it might be the preeminent plan in your area. Or, you know, what do you think? How do you feel? Forget about what do you think. Never say, what do you think? Always ask, how do you feel? Because once again, health insurance is what? Emotional, right? I don't care what you think. Analytics, I don't care. How do you feel? Because when I leave here, I want you to feel good. Because no one's ever going to remember what you told them. They're always going to remember how you made them feel. Right? So now you've explained, all right, the two plans. Now, one last thing, and thanks for hanging in there, all right? Here's the thing. If you want to increase your hospital indemnity sales, okay, column A, supplement, all right, $150, Part D premium, okay, whatever, $165 a month, all right? That's option A. Option B, you can get the Medicare Advantage plan, and if you are concerned about the copays going forward, we actually have a solution. It's an additional safety net that we can build into your program going forward, where we can get you what's known as a hospital indemnity plan. And indemnification is just a real, it's an insurance term that just says to make you whole again. So let's say that you go into the hospital and you got a $300 copay. We could have the hospital indemnity plan that gets that $300 back for you. So you're at zero, you go down 300, I bring you back to zero, you've been indemnified. All right. Sometimes people are worried about, well, what if I need outpatient surgery and that's $200? We can get that $200 reimbursed back to you. Sometimes people are worried about the skilled nursing. The first 20 days, there's no charge, but days 21 through 100 are $200 a day. Sometimes that makes people nervous. And so they would rather pay a smaller premium and know that if they did end up in a skilled nursing facility, all right, and they were there for 40 days, that those additional 20 days of $4,000, we could get that reimbursed back to them. They feel, not think, they feel, all right, that that's worth 40 or 50 bucks just to give them peace of mind. And that really is, you know, the sole idea behind insurance, peace of mind. So if you've ever priced out, you know, a HIP plan, whether it's GTL or somebody else, you can really load these things up. All right. 350 bucks, you know, for the first day in the hospital, 100 bucks every day after that, you know, ER reimbursement, skilled nursing reimbursement, physical therapy and chiropractic, you know, reimbursement, cancer. You can load these things up for like 50 bucks a month. Okay. I mean, and so now what you're saying to them is you can have the Medicare supplement for about 165 bucks a month, which is going to continue to increase, or you can have the Medicare Advantage plan with the additional safety net of the hospital indemnity plan, okay, for about 50 bucks a month. Which one do you feel fits your needs best?
Hey team, and I want to throw a quick little comment in here. And you hear me say it often. Troy says it a lot. Bruce has said it. Moon said it. Think about this. What have we told you? If you have 3 policies with a person, you own that home. Well,
Always.
guess what? He just showed you a way to get 2. You're 1 sale away of owning that home. Now,
Well,
those hospital indemnity plans, to be honest with you, they can be very inexpensive. They can be very expensive. They'll start around $2 or $3 and can go up to a couple $100, depending on that person's need.
I bring them in around 50 bucks. Okay. You can do whatever you want. Okay. If somebody wants to add, you know, a huge amount of cancer, you know, or whatever, you can do that. All right. Now, sometimes I've found that doing an individual cancer policy outside of the HIP is more cost effective. And if you do that, now you got an MAPD, a HIP, and a cancer policy. There's your 3 policies. All right, not to mention the fact that you're gonna have 2 more policies in that house. One should be the funeral service plan and the other should be a small final expense. All right, now you got 5 policies in a house. That house is never leaving you, ever. All right, so it's a lot, okay? It's a lot of information, okay? Somebody I've heard on multiple occasions that talking to me about Medicare is like drinking out of a fire hydrant wide open. But, you know, what questions does anybody have at this point? I know I'm not that good. So
Bruce, I
come
don't
on.
have any questions, but I just want to say that your presentation, out of all the shit you got to study to become a Medicare agent, your presentation almost just summarizes every damn thing. Okay,
Well,
and
thank you.
I know there's rabbit holes you can go down for every little issue and all of that, but I mean, it literally summarizes Medicare in a nutshell to where I don't see, this presentation could be done as a full educational event because you're not
So-
mentioning any specific company, am I right?
Here's the thing. Yeah. Here's the thing. This is what I hear a lot. I hear, for the first time, I actually understand how this works. All right. And it's always nice to hear that. Here's 3 questions that someone should always be able to answer. All right. What do I have? Why do I have it? How do I benefit from it? So if you want to write these down, what do I have? Why do I have it? How do I benefit from it? If you've done your job correctly, when you get to the end of the enrollment, all right, ask them. And I say this at the beginning, okay? I said, here's 3 questions everyone should be able to answer. And I said, and at the end of this, I said, I'm going to ask you to answer these questions, okay? When I'm done enrolling somebody and I'm like, you know, folding up the iPad and I'm like, you know, so, hey, it was really nice meeting you, you know, and you're going to get, you know, these letters and blah, blah, blah. You know, I say, now, I said, remember I told you there was going to be a little quiz at the end. All right. What do you have? And they'll say, well, I've got the, you know, Aetna Premier plan. Okay. Why do you have it? Well, you came over and we went through all of this stuff and, you know, it was the best, you know, solution for me. How do you benefit from it? And they're like, well, I'm not paying a premium. I've got my, you know, A and B benefits, you know, and I've got, you know, other benefits not covered by original Medicare. I don't leave a house until they can answer those 3 questions. All right. And that way, whenever they're talking to someone and they're like, oh, I was always told not to do that, you know, they can say, well, here's why I did it. What's up, Moon?
I just saw that Andrea had a question similar to what I was going to ask in the chat about the exclusions on the hospital indemnity plan. So when I was thinking about the guaranteed issued, maybe I was confusing it with hospital indemnity. Isn't it during AEP? If they enroll, they can get it, or is that not true?
You can get a HIP plan anytime you want.
I know that you
Um,
can get anytime, but in terms of underwriting,
For the HIP,
yes.
underwriting is year round.
Really? So
Yeah.
there's no thing where it's like
Oh,
guaranteed-
you know what? Here's the thing. I'm glad you asked that. GTL has been sending out some emails. I don't think it's in all states, but I saw some emails that they sent out where I think from 64.5 to 67.5 or something like that, they have a no question open enrollment.
Okay, that's might be what I've been thinking about.
Yeah, I did forget about that. So yeah, thanks for jogging the memory. So yeah, so once again, okay, here's another reason to be meeting with somebody. All right. And if they're in that window, 64.5 to whatever it is, 67.5 or 68.5, you know, that would be the perfect time to say, hey, look, you know, you should seriously consider this. Don't say you should do this, but you should seriously consider this because you're in this sweet spot, you know, where you don't have to answer any health questions.
Hey,
Yeah.
Bruce, can you give us those 3 questions one more time?
What do you have? Why do you have it? How do you benefit from it?
Thank you.
And you know, Moon, you know why GTL did that? Competition.
Right.
All right. And I'm a huge fan of the free market enterprise and competition, right? Because when there's a monopoly, we've all seen that picture, the beat up old mailbox, you know, monopoly, you know, and then there's like the real shiny UPS, DHL, FedEx box. When there's competition, you got to stay on top of your toes, man. Otherwise, you're going under. So GTL did introduce that, but be very careful because it's not in every state. All
Okay.
right, unless they change the rules, because I tried doing that a couple years ago during COVID, and PA was not one of the states that was participating. However, since Paul's listening to this, that would be a great educational Zoom, is to have Demetrius from
Yeah.
GTL come on and talk about HIP, all right, and give you the ins and outs, and then you can pick them apart with questions.
Yeah, and I'll call Demetrius myself and get that scheduled for everybody. You know, I'm a big fan of selling HIP plans with my MAPDs, just like Bruce. Matter of fact, Troy, you were a good example. I helped Troy with a veteran buddy of his, you know, and I know we didn't cover the MA only, Bruce, and you might want to do a little spot on that here next, how the military plans work. But his buddy was worried because he did most of his stuff through the VA hospital, but there's times I asked him a simple question. Do you still tinker? You know, do you mess with an engine or, you know, yard work or tinker in a wood shop? Yeah, all the time. So you get cuts and banged up sometimes, right? Absolutely. Do you go to the VA for that? Well, no, the VA is too far away from me. I go to like a urgent care or the local, you know, ER. And I said, well, let me explain how this HIP plan is going to work for you. I said, you know, your copay on this MA only for ER visit without being, you know, having an overnight stay is $90. Well, this HIP plan that I'm looking at, it's going to pay you 110, right? Covers it. Think of Aflac. You know, that's where Aflac made their big splash. Cash for qualifying events. These HIP plans are perfect. So somebody that's liking the MAPD because of the $0 premium, all the goodies that are in there, but nervous because, well, the sup plan, I could just pay a premium and never worry, but they're not, you know, super sick and they're healthy right now. Here's the perfect filler. Okay. And you just slap on, you sit down, you customize a HIP plan with them and you go 1-2. Well, now you're covered and you're paying a fraction of what you would have paid with that sup plan.
And that's the key. That's why you want to go through the cost of the supplement. You know, it's going to be about $150, plus you need a Part D plan. All right. And that's only going to continue to increase as you get older. There's going to be an annual increase and an age increase. All right. Then here's option B. All right. That's only like however you price it out. You know, if you want to just do like a stay in the hospital and skilled nursing, they're only like, I don't know, $20, something like that, 20, $25. And then you throw on all the other goodies, you know, and I'll tell you what, I've got HIP plans that I wrote 8 years ago, and they're still on the books, man. Even though they've got that zero premium plan, it's like they're not getting rid of that HIP plan because they're like, as soon as I get rid of this, something's going to happen, right? So, and then but here's another thing I'm going to say. I've had some people say like, hey, I've had this HIP plan for 3 years, you know, and I've never used it. You know, I don't see any point in keeping this. You got to remember, there's been a shift in mindset, all right, with the population these days. People want like 100% return on everything, all right? Hey, you know, I've got this HIP plan. I've 3 years, I haven't used it. You know, I'm thinking about getting rid of it. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, are you going to do that before or after you cancel your car insurance? What do you mean? I'm like, well, you know, when's the last time you used your car insurance? I don't think I've ever used it. Oh, okay. But you're gonna get rid of it, right? And I mean, are you gonna cancel your hospital indemnity before or after you get rid of your homeowner's insurance? You know, once again, these are insurances you hope you never use, right? You hope you never use your homeowners. My house burned down years ago, all right? I had, you know, homeowners. All right. You hope you never use it, but you're glad you got it, you know, when you need it. Car insurance. In my state, you can't drive without it. All right. So whenever someone says like, hey, I haven't used this, I'm thinking about getting rid of it, you know, that's when I'm kind of a smart ass about it. And I just go, so before or after you cancel your car insurance, right? Insurance is there if you need it. It's not an investment. You're not buying gold or stock or something. All right. If we hope you never go into a skilled nursing facility. And I've asked that question too. I'm like, so you're bummed out you didn't spend 60 days in a skilled nursing facility? I mean, would that make you feel better? I mean, if you spent 60 days, if you broke your hip, spent 60 days in a skilled nursing facility, so you used your hospital indemnity plan, would that make you feel better? I mean, I can't come over and break your hip, but I know some people that will, you know, and I just make these jokes, you know, and then people are like, oh yeah, that's a really good point. You know, I had a lady call up. She was upset because she didn't get the chronic healthy foods card, you know, and, I said, so I'm not sure. I'm like, what are you more upset about? You're more upset that you didn't get a bag of carrots or that you don't have a chronic condition? So, you know, once again, you know, that's just me. All right. But I always seem to get away with it somehow. But it makes people think, you know, I'm like, so would you rather have, you know, cancer and then I'll bring you some broccoli, you know? So it's just stuff to think about. But easy sale if you package it properly. Hospital or Medicare supplement, okay? And then the other option, MAPD, you know, with hospital indemnity. Now, here's what you got to remember on MA plans, okay? Be real careful about this, okay? There's no prescription benefit, all right? So they have to be getting creditable coverage someplace else, so they'll be subject to the 1% per month Part D penalty, right? Everyone knows about the 1% per month penalty? Yes, no? All right, okay. So,
No, sorry, no.
okay, so Medicare Part D has a penalty just like Medicare Part B, all right? So here's what you need to know about the VA. The VA is creditable coverage for Medicare Part D, as in Davis, all right? But it is not creditable coverage for Medicare Part B, all right? So if you're talking to a veteran who is eligible for Part B at 65 and they're 70, all right, that's 5 years of penalty, and that's 10% per year up to a maximum of 10 years. So you got to be careful, all right? Even though it's a zero premium plan, if they have not activated their Part B, thank you, all right? If they have not activated their Part B, and you say, oh man, I got this totally awesome veterans plan, which of course you should never say it like that. All right, I'm being facetious. All right. But you go ahead and you enroll them in one of your veteran plans, it's going to get denied because they have A, but not B. And if you tell them in order to get this plan, you need to activate your Part B, they are not going to be paying $165 a month. They're going to be paying $165 plus 50% every month. So when you're talking to a veteran, don't just tell them, oh, we've got this, you know, wonderful plan that dovetails seamlessly with your VA benefits. Qualify them and make sure that they have A and B. Because if you send them to activate their B, all right, they're going to get hit with whatever penalty they've accrued because they were told, and if you've never heard this, listen to what I'm about to say. They were told, you have VA benefits, you don't need anything else, right? But if they do have A and B and they're both active, all right, then you can enroll them into a veteran MA only plan. And Paul and I were just talking about this the other day. Even if they have TRICARE for life, you can still go ahead and enroll them into a veteran MA plan, and it will give them a lot of extra benefits, particularly the Part B give back. And if you're not familiar with that, a lot of MA plans are giving back Part B. Some of them are $50, and some, I know we're not supposed to talk about 2024, but we're all agents. Some of them next year are giving back like $100 a month.
Humana,
So,
Humana's got 105
yeah,
in Pennsylvania.
yeah. So, not all of Pennsylvania, but yeah,
No.
down in Pittsburgh, it's like $10 where I am. So the thing is, yes, okay. So that's the whole thing. You know, when you are talking to these veterans, all right, you want to let them know, hey, we have unique plans, or we have, you know, we have plans that were specifically designed, you know, for veterans, and they dovetail seamlessly with your VA benefits with no adverse effect. All right. And then you can go through. All right. Because here's the thing, that this is at least what I've heard over the years. Some people are big fans of the VA, some people are not. All right. And I just worked with a dude, and he was told that he had the VA and he didn't need anything else. And so I was meeting with him just for an MAPD. He was a referral. Someone was like, hey, you need to contact Bruce. He knows more about this than anybody else. All right. And I'm not saying that to be arrogant. I'm just, that's what was said. All right. And that's what you want people saying about you. You know more about this than anyone else. So hold on just for a second, Moon. So I go and I meet with this guy before I went to the Philippines. I sign him up for an MAPD. Now I'm getting this guy all kinds of extra benefits, you know, that he's not getting through the VA. And I'm talking to this guy, and I mean, we're in like kind of this shady little trailer, and I'm having a conversation with the dude, and I go, hey man, just out of curiosity, I said, you know, I'm not trying to get too deep in your pockets, but what's your monthly income? And the guy's like, oh, he goes, you know, I'm getting by on like $850 a month. I said, okay. I said, I'm leaving for the Philippines. I need you to do me a favor while I'm gone. Go to the county assistance office and tell them that you want to file for medical assistance. No, he lives out in the country. I don't like going into Erie and everything else. And I said, I'll tell you what. I said, have your girlfriend drive you in. Trust me. I can't tell you why, but just do it. All right. And then when I get back, I said, you know, we'll see what happens. So anyways, he did. All right. He had his girlfriend drive him in. The dude's got PTSD, a bunch of stuff. He doesn't like going into the city. All right. So anyways, he goes. So while I'm in the Philippines, I get a text message from this guy. Hey man, I got these benefits, and here's my number. All right. So then I get back. All right. And I just met with the guy yesterday after we had our little meeting here. I went and I met with the dude, and I got him hooked up on a dual special needs plan. All right. Now the guy's losing his mind, man. I mean, completely losing his mind. All right. He's got dental out the wazoo. I mean, you guys know how D-SNPs work. Okay. He's getting the food card. He's got the extra benefit card. He's got the over the counter. He's got vision and dental. The guy like starts crying, and he's like, how come nobody ever told me about this at the VA? They told me I had everything I needed. How come no one ever told me? He goes, I could have had this all along. And I said, here's the thing, man. I don't have a flux capacitor and no way to go back in time. So we're not going to have that conversation. Now, remember, this dude's got pretty serious PTSD. So, I mean, I'm trying to tread lightly here, but I'm like, we're not going to have that conversation. I said, now you're hooked up. All right, September 1st, all this is going to go into effect. And I'm like, and we're just going to talk about going forward. All right. But think about this. This guy was told he just had everything he needed through the VA. And then I stopped, all right, on a referral. And how did I get referred to this dude? Because I'm the wizard who makes things happen that no one else can do. All right. So I get him hooked up on just an MAPD. Then I tell him to go to the county assistant's office. He actually goes and does it. Now I'm hooking him up on a D-SNP plan. Let me ask you this question. Do you think I'm going to get any referrals from this guy? Right? So the official answer to that is, yes, Bruce, I believe you're going to get a shit ton. All right. That's the official, the terminology. Okay. So he's going to contact everybody he knows. All right. Whether they're a veteran or not. And they're going to be like, you need to meet with this guy. Okay. That's not why I helped him. I could have just done the MAPD, blown out of there, gone to the Philippines, completely forgotten about the guy. All right. But I knew if he would just drive down, file for benefits, he would qualify. Know what your benefit levels are. All right. Here in my state, if you're on Medicare, you're allowed to make $1,060, all right, or less, and you qualify for medical assistance. Okay. So now the guy's dual. All right. So I'm going to get the charge back from the MAPD, but then I'm going to get, you know, the enrollment from the D-SNP. But more importantly, I changed this guy's life totally. All right. Because just on the 2023 benefits, this guy's life just improved exponentially. So what's up, Moon?
No, I was just gonna tell you that you make a great point with the veterans, because I literally signed my dad up on the Humana Honors Plan last year because he's a retired military Army. And that's how I really stumbled upon it. And I've been actually enrolling veterans all year long, not just during AEP, because they do have the other credible coverage, and most of them do have Part A and B, are paying the $164.90 for the premium for Part B premium, don't even realize it because they only use the VA for pretty much everything.
Yep.
And because they can still get their prescriptions from the VA, that's what qualifies them for the MA plan and the give back.
Yep.
And my dad could not understand what I was talking about. I said, just trust me, you're paying, even though you may not use it, but if you need to, you have an extended network of providers and some additional benefits that you're not getting with just original Medicare. I said, trust me, I'm not going to put you on something because I can get in worse trouble with my dad than I can with Medicare. Okay.
Right.
So I put him on it, and all he could tell his friends is that my daughter saved me $150 a month, which really equals up to like $1,800 a year.
Yep.
And if the wife is getting Medicare and is on TRICARE for life, it doesn't always happen that way, but if the wife is on TRICARE as well and qualified for Medicare, she can be on the same plan because she has other credible coverage.
Yep.
And together, that's a savings of $3,600 a year.
Yep.
And I literally have to fight people about why they need it because they don't understand. But I really came up with a very simple analogy to really explain it to them. I said, you have everything you need from the VA, not changing it. You actually need to keep that in order to get what I'm talking to you about. So keep everything the same at the VA. We're not changing anything. We're just adding some additional benefits that you're not using that you're paying for. And I said, just think of it like an ice cream sundae. You right now have original Medicare and you have the VA. So you have just the ice cream, and the ice cream is good. But if you go ahead and get this plan, that's going to enhance your providers. You're not going to have to need a referral to go outside. You're not going to have to wait all the time on just your primary care doctor at the VA. You can get a second opinion. You get silver sneakers. You can get rides. You can get over the counter. If you need dental and vision, extra benefits, all works together with what you have. Now you've added the sundae. You made it a sundae instead of just an ice cream. You have the chocolate syrup. You got the cherry on top, the whipped cream. And who wants just the ice cream cone when you can get a whole sundae? And they're like, okay, you're right. And every single time they actually sign up on it. I have not had anyone, once they listen to what I'm trying to tell them, because I'm like, you're already paying for it. It's not like you're paying anything extra. You're just really not utilizing all of the benefits that you're entitled to. And then
Mhm.
this is the last thing, and I mean, this is the closer. You put your life on the line for this country. And these are benefits that you're actually entitled to, that you're not taking advantage of. And whether you use them or not, you're still paying for them. But if you need to use them, they're available for you. But if you get on this plan, other than that, you may not be able to extend your network and so on and so forth. I mean, they just love it, and they send
Oh, yeah.
you all of their friends. So
Absolutely. And you know what? You described it perfectly. And the one question, I always love asking questions when I talk to people, because I want them to be involved. I don't want to just talk to them. I want to, get them engaged. And I'll say, so I'm like, I've talked to a lot of people, and I said, and this is what people have said to me. And I said, you let me know if you fall into this category. All right. How do you feel, or are you opposed to extra benefits and options?
mm,
How do you
nobody,
feel about that?
I like
How
it.
would you how would you feel, all right, about receiving additional benefits because you faithfully served your country, and options?
Right.
Do you like options or do you not like options?
No, I like options.
Okay. Okay. So that's pretty much what a lot of people have said to me. They just like to know that they have options. So if the wait list for a procedure is too long at the VA, they can
Mhm.
go outside of the VA. All right. And they can utilize the options that are available to them. And oh, by the way, what is your level at the VA? Where are you on the 8 levels? Because chances are utilizing that option could allow you to have a procedure sooner. And depending upon where you are on the level chart, the VA may possibly reimburse you for that copay.
I love that.
What level are you?
That's good. But I think it's just knowledge too. They just don't know.
They don't know. All
They
right.
don't
And so
they,
now
they need it.
I'm going to piggyback on what you talked about yesterday. Okay.
Mhm.
And Paul, no, you or Paul said, okay, you don't have to be an expert. Okay. Here's the thing. Bruce Davis fell on his ass a lot. Okay. In the beginning of his career. Okay. That's how I learned stuff. Okay. I got my teeth kicked in. First of all, I started my career on the mean streets of Philadelphia. All right. I grew up in a small town surrounded by cornfields. All right. And the next thing I know, I'm in Center City, Philadelphia, and Dorothy's not in Kansas anymore. All right. I got my teeth kicked in like you can't even imagine. And so here's what I learned, because I'm a huge fan of living indoors and eating people food. All right. So I needed to close some deals, but I wasn't going to go out and I wasn't going to do any shady, shifty stuff to do it. So I just got better. And I got better real fast. I went from number 19 to number 2 in my district office in 6 months. All right. Because once again, prices were very high and I like living indoors. All right. So I started asking a lot of questions. So you don't have to be an expert on everything. All right. Get a good slide presentation. All right. Or partner up with somebody who's, a little more experienced than you are, and go out and start doing presentations. Because here's the thing, our industry's worked really hard for a long time to have a really crappy reputation. All right. We're carpetbaggers, we're shysters, we're liars. We all know somebody who thought they had a final expense plan, but it was an AD&D plan. They paid on it for 20 years. Dad died. They didn't get anything from it because he didn't die in a plane crash. All right. We all know these stories. Okay. So people don't trust us. That's why you need to become the expert and the value added consultant. And you need to go out and you need to start doing presentations, whether you partner up with an SRO, all right, or if you join the organizations, like I said yesterday, all right, go to churches, all right, go to churches and just ask them, hey, just out of curiosity, All right. I don't know how many people on this call know who Columbo is. All right. It was a great TV show back in the 70s, and the dude was always asking questions. Go to a church and ask, just out of curiosity, how many veterans are in your congregation? Oh, I don't know. Probably a dozen or more. Okay. So when was the last time someone came in and educated them on the additional benefits that are available through them through Medicare that seamlessly dovetail with their VA benefits and provide them additional benefits and options that they're probably not aware of? When was the last time? Never. Okay. So when would be the best time for me to come in and do that? What are they going to say? We don't care about our vets? You know what I mean? David, what's up?
This is all part of MA, correct?
Well, yeah, it could be MA, it could be funeral service plan, it could be, whatever. But when was the last time that you had someone come in and educate your vets? Or when was the last time you had somebody come in and educate, your senior population? When was the last time you had someone come in here and educate your parishioners about anything? You with me? I can't see you. Did you fall asleep or hang up on me?
Nah, he's out there. Hey, everybody. So Bruce, rewinding it back a little bit to the penalties. As you guys can see, I pulled up on the screen. Pinnacle in there. You go to services, and you go to certifications. It's down below all the cert links. You'll see these late enrollment calculators. So if you ever run into the situation where somebody's going to pay that Part B premium or that Part D penalty, okay, and let's say we're just going to use one of these and say here, this person didn't have credible drug coverage, and it's asking how many months, were they not covered, and let's say they weren't covered for 8 months. You can calculate an estimate of what that monthly Part D enrollment penalty is for. Okay, that resource is out there. You also can go to Medicare.gov. It is on there. So there are places that you can get those those pieces. Okay. There's a couple things in the chat. Stephen Fortman, VA MA program. If they use other than VA service providers, with the beneficiary be responsible for the 20%. Is that correct, Bruce?
Negative. Well, you're saying VA MA, so you're talking about the Veterans Medicare Advantage. All right, the 20% would be with original Medicare. So on the Medicare Advantage plan, they would be subjected to the copay schedule for that MA plan. So I'll give you an example. Here we have an MA plan. A stay in the hospital is $275. That's it. It covers everything. All right. Outpatient surgery, $200. All right. I'm in Pennsylvania. I'm about an hour and a half from Cleveland. The Cleveland Clinic is world-class medicine, for real world-class medicine. All right. Like when a sheik needs a heart transplant, his private 747 lands at the Cleveland airport. All right. So a lot of vets utilize the VA. All right. They also use the Cleveland Clinic. So what I've been told, all right, and I only go by what I've been told, all right, is they had to wait for a procedure at the VA. They didn't want to wait. They went to the Cleveland Clinic. They had it done. It was a flat $200. Now, depending upon their reimbursement level, all right, and if you're not familiar with the 8 levels, you might want to check that out. Sometimes that 200 gets reimbursed. Sometimes it does not. And I've had vets say to me, I don't care. It was worth the $200 to go have world-class medicine and not have to wait. So that 20% you're talking about, that would be under original Medicare Part B. Does that answer your question?
I hope it does. Anybody
Okay.
else? Do we got questions? Yeah, he wrote yes. Hey,
Okay.
Bruce, without going over their head a little bit, there was something you and I discussed, and don't go too deep.
SCPs.
Don't go too deep into the rabbit
All
hole
right. So
because I
here's,
want them to concentrate on AEP.
I
But
got you. So here's the thing. All right. SEP stands for special election period. Okay. When you do an enrollment, whether you're using a digital platform or a paper application, there's a sheet that has a bunch of SEPs on there. So somebody could be outside of their open enrollment, or they could be outside of AEP. And by the way, all right, just a side note, AEP is not open enrollment. That drives me crazy. I don't know why all these companies are always like, hey, you know, during open enrollment. It's AEP, the annual election period. All right. It's different than open enrollment. Open enrollment is January 1st to March 31st. All right. So if somebody like this time, today's, I don't know, August 21st or something like that. All right. So you're meeting with somebody today. It's not AEP. All right. And they need to switch plans. So you can go and you can look at this schedule of special election periods. So you get a phone call from somebody. Hey, I just moved into the area. All right. I used to live in a different area. Now I just moved into this area. My friend told me to give you a call. That is a geographical relocation. That's a special election period. So you can go ahead and you can enroll them, and they'll have a September 1st effective date. So you don't have to say, oh, well, you got to wait until October 15th. Let me get you on my schedule. I'll enroll you, and then your plan will start January 1st. So geographical relocation, all right? Going back to the veterans, there's a thing called OCC SEP, other creditable coverage, special election period. All right. So if you're talking to a vet, they have a 365-day SEP. So if you're meeting with somebody like this dude I was talking about, the first time I met with the guy, I used OCC SEP. He had other creditable coverage, which is the VA. All right. And that created a special election period. Now, the second time I met with him yesterday, he had another SEP, and that was new to Medicaid. All right. So if somebody has just been granted medical assistance, that opens up another SEP. All right. So what you want to do is go onto your digital enrollment platforms or get out your paper enrollment kits. All right. And go to the SEP page and just start reading them. Some of them are, I'm new to Medicare. All right. Some of them are, I've had a change in medical assistance. I either lost it or I gained it. Another one that is a 365-day-a-year SEP is I receive assistance from my state to pay for my prescriptions. All right. So if you're meeting with somebody, all right, and it's August 24th, and they haven't moved, they're not new to Medicare, but you're talking to them and they are on a state pharmacy assistance program, you can use that as an SEP to switch their Medicare Advantage plan. So become familiar with SEPs, because once again, and I'm going to be kind of a jerk here. All right. There's a lot of ding dong agents out there that don't even know what an SEP is. And I'm not talking to you if you're brand new to Medicare. All right. If you've been doing life and you're new to this, I don't expect you to know all this stuff. But there's a lot of agents that have been out there for like 5, 10, 15 years that don't know. They think the only time they can change somebody is during AEP. So if you come rolling in and someone's like, well, I was told I couldn't change until October, and you say, well, there's a list of special election periods. maybe you qualify for one of those and you start asking some questions. All right. Are you on pharmacy assistance? I don't know what that means. All right. In this area, do you have PACE or PaceNet? Oh, I have PaceNet. Oh, okay. Well, then you have pharmacy assistance. That opens up an SEP for you to switch plans. I've never heard of this. What are you talking about? Well, do you make less than 41,500 as a couple? Oh, yeah, as a matter of fact, we do. Okay, and no one's ever talked to you about pharmacy assistance. No. So guess what? There's another conversation that you could have. All right. And if you hook them up and you take their tier 3 from a $47 a month co-payment down to 15, are they going to be upset with you? No. Go ahead. Someone shake their head. No. All right. And then what are they going to do? Oh my gosh. Bruce just saved me on 3 prescriptions. All right. He just saved me over $100 a month. You need to meet with this guy. Maybe he can help, right? So bring, then the phone rings. Okay. So once again, there's a whole bunch of SEPs. All right. When I first started doing Medicare Advantage back in like 2006, 2007, there was like 3 SEPs. All right. Now there's like 25 of them.
So
Okay.
on my screen right now that I'm sharing with everybody, when a governor declares a state of emergency, that's an SEP. They used to be only valid for 6 weeks. Starting October 1st, they're now valid for 6 months. I get and request constantly an SCP guideline. So as you can see, there's a ton of them sitting here that are valid right now. So let's go right here. New Mexico had a flood problem, and that started on 4/1. Well, guess what? It started 4/10, sorry, and it's still valid. That SCP is still running. There are charts of SCPs out there, and if you ever need one, just ask, I'll give it to you. But like Bruce is saying, it lines up tons of other open opportunities where if you've got somebody that reached out to you that needs assistance, you can move them. The other big one that is always out there is if there is a better plan for them that is a 5-star plan, you can enroll into a 5-star plan any time of the year.
365 days. So here's what I'm going to say to you. Okay. I mean, number one, I appreciate everybody hanging in there. I was always told the brain can only absorb what the ass can tolerate. So I know we've gone real long on this, but here's the thing. You need to do everything that you possibly can to differentiate yourself. Okay. Become that top 5% value-added consultant. When you go out, you know how many clients I've gotten just because I could make something happen when they were told nobody else could. All right. I'm stuck in this plan. I hate this plan. I don't know how I even got on this plan. All right. And I say, well, then let's switch you. Well, I was told I couldn't do anything until October. I'm like, come on, let's take a look at the SCPs. Let's see what we got. All right. Chances are you probably got like a 90% chance that you're going to find an SCP that you can use. All right. To get somebody out of their plan into a better plan. And now they're your client. And now you're going to talk to them about all of the other value added stuff that you bring. That's the takeaway. The takeaway is become the value added consultant. We got enough just regular agents schlepping around out there. We don't need any more.
Anybody with questions for Bruce? Well, they're either sleeping.
That's hilarious because I know I'm not that good. But
I was gonna say they're either sleeping or we got Kim.
You know what?
Kim's not afraid. There we go.
I'm telling you right now, Luke Harris is mowing his grass right now. That's why his screen's blocked out. All right. He just said, this guy, I'm out of here. But anyways, here's the thing. And I just randomly picked you, Luke. But here's the thing.
You weren't far off. I'm driving a car.
I'm driving a car. All right. Okay. But thanks for being a good sport. Here's the thing. Once again, I got to get my certifications, everything done. But I like this group. I really do. I'm really glad that you invited me. Normally, I don't participate in anything that would have me as a member. But the thing is, I like this group. This is good quality agents, okay? If you have questions, okay, feel free to text me or email me. Please let me know who you are. Just don't send a question because then I'm going to be like, who's this? All right. But just, hey, give me your name. I was on, I'm with Paul or Troy. All right. And give me your question or just shoot like, hey, it's too much to text. Can I call you? And then we can set up a time to talk on the phone. I know Moon and I have had some conversations. I barely remember the last one. I had just landed from 3 days of traveling back from the Philippines. I was going 90 miles an hour through Cleveland. Moon's name came up on caller ID. It's the only reason I answered it. All right. But we've had some good conversations and we can learn from each other. So, feel free. And Paul and Troy will tell you, I do not put my phone number out there very easily. All right. So if I can help you out in any way, shape, or form, feel free to reach out to me. Give me your questions and, I'll do the best that I can to answer them for you because I do understand. All right. It's as clear as mud and it's as easy as nailing jello to a tree. So I'll be more than happy to help you out. Utilize me as a resource. And if there's something that you ever want me to talk about, feel free to shoot it over to Paul or Troy and, we'll go from there.
Kim, what's your question?
Well, kind of a two-parter. So I absolutely love how you've done your training. I would drink from your house any day. I just love this. What I want to know is, are you going to be doing a couple more of these? Because I would love to have you back. I would like to pick your brain more on once you start asking like how you do qualify for them, like how you break it down, like when you're asking them about their doctors and their hospitals, what they're entitled, to break it down to find out what type of program they go into. I mean, not today. We've had enough, but just kind of how you get into all of those questions. And then how you transition from one program into another program, how to add that and how you say that. Because I absolutely love how
Hey,
you've
Bruce,
been doing.
Bruce, before you answer that, can I interject real quick?
No, Troy, that's completely unreasonable, but go ahead.
Kim and everybody listening to this, what I would suggest everybody do is Paul's going to put this recording up. In order for you guys to get the most benefit out of what Bruce just did, I would love for every one of you to practice his presentation as if you were sitting in front of a client and do it over and over, do it at least 10 times. And then let us set Bruce up for another meeting and we'll take a deep dive into part 2 of what you're asking, Kim, because what you're asking is very very good questions on how, when you go into setting up the MA plan, MAPD plan, Bruce, which one do you more, how do you guide them? How do you do the doctors, the medication and all that? But I think to be the most effective for you guys, because if you guys can duplicate just this training alone, it's going to take your closing ratio up significantly. And then adding that part 2 that you're asking for right now, I think would be more beneficial to every one of you if you can do Bruce's plan sitting in front of a client, even on the telephone with somebody.
Actually, here's an idea. All right. I told you I am not good on the phone. All right. Here's what you might want to do. If you want to set up some video role playing, I'll be more than happy to do that, with anybody, because you're only going to get better at this by falling on your ass. All right. And that's just the long and the short of it. Okay. What you want to do is you want to make every mistake possible with me. Okay. Because here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna go out into the field and you're gonna get in your own head. And you're gonna start thinking about how you're gonna make mistakes, okay? And you're gonna paralyze yourself, all right? So what you wanna do, you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, what if I say the wrong thing? What if I do this wrong? And then all of a sudden, you're just gonna paralyze yourself. So what I would recommend, all right, is, let's schedule some video fall on your ass sessions, all right? And make all the mistakes that you can possibly make with me, okay? Because I'm not gonna get upset with you because you're never gonna close me, all right? The day you sell me insurance, all right, is a day that you can do whatever you want, okay? So you can fall on your ass and I'm gonna say, okay, let me just give you a better way to say that, all right? Or what do you think you could have done better? All right, and it's okay. I mean, as much as I'm not a big fan of like, you're in a safe space and all that stuff, you are, okay? So feel free to send me your questions and I'm gonna answer your question just real fast. Here's what you wanna do. You walk in, you sit down. I mean, you know how this goes. You look around the house, oh, you collect this, or you do, oh, I see you're a fisherman. You immediately try to find something to, get the conversation launched and get them talking about themselves a little bit. And then you just say, you know what, that's really fascinating. I could sit here and talk to you about that all day. But you know what, let's get to why I'm really here. So do me a favor, so I can just have kind of a better idea of, whom I'm talking to. Could you just tell me about the last couple years? What's been going on? And they're like, what do you mean? Well, how many times you been in the hospital in the last year? How many times you've been to the ER in the last year? What about the last 2 years? Well, I haven't been to the hospital. I haven't been to the ER. Okay, hey, that's great. Congratulations. You're in much better health than a lot of people I talk to. Those are real simple questions. Just tell me about the last year or two. Okay? They tell you about the last year or two. Is there any reason why? Because then there's always that nobody has a crystal ball thing. And I'm like, well, I actually do. All right. It's on my desk. So is there any reason why you feel the next year or two would be different than the last year or two? That's it. Don't make it complicated. Tell me about the last year or two. And is there any reason why you feel the next year or two would be any different than the last year or two? They're going to tell you everything you need to know to give you an idea of what direction you should be heading. Does that make sense?
Yes, that perfect. Yeah.
Okay. And do
Yeah,
you go by Kim or
put the cherry on
Kimberly?
the top for me.
Okay. Do you go by Kim or Kimberly?
Either one.
Okay. All right. So Kim, keep it simple, stupid. Remember the
Okay.
KISS, right? The
Yeah,
KISS
yeah.
principle, keep it simple, stupid. All right. I always tell people, here's my one joke that I'm going to give you all. Okay. Everyone can use this. All right. I go out and I'm talking to people and I say, you know what? I just want to make sure I do a thorough job. Okay. Because I can't afford to lose my license. I don't have any other marketable skills. All right. And so I can't do anything to jeopardize my license. I'll never sleep in a house I wired or drive a car whose brakes I've changed. All right. So I just need to make sure